because I should restart because of what happened. And I will again try to quickly come to 15 or so, and then we continue normally. Okay, we were approximately at 15. So this is checkmate in 2. We give a check and go here. This is checkmate in 1. The g7 square is covered. Here we can play bishop c4, and the pin exists, so we will capture the queen. He can't do this. Here we go rook to g1 and queen to g7 checkmate. Here we give check and checkmate. This is also checkmate in 1. The king can't go anywhere. Now, if we take the bishop first, queen h6, knight d4, there will be rook d4. So it's smart to change the move order, take knight d4 first, because then after queen d4 we can take on h6, and if knight d4, bishop g7 first, knight e2 check, knight e2 or queen e2, we take on g7, and we have won a piece in the process. Okay, here we should push the pawn to g2. If we give him more time, he will take all of these pawns. So we push g2. If rook takes, then we give a check here and recapture the rook. If he does anything else, we'll play g1 next move and again win the rook. And we have winning endgame. Okay, this one now needs a bit more calculation. It seems like it's an equal queen endgame, but we have a tactic to win. So queen h1, king g4, queen h5, king f5, king f4, queen f5, king e3, and then d4 check. And this is very easy to calculate because white has only moves to play. So check. Okay, the puzzle didn't even go further, but it should have. Maybe it didn't go further because it was even easier, which I didn't see at all. I only saw the queen to capture the queen, but there was actually checkmate, even with queen h1, king g4, h5, king f4, queen a4 checkmate. We saw that I'm missing quite a lot of things today. Okay, this is check and checkmate. This is checkmate after knight f6, because it's a double check, so he can't take the queen. If we go to d6, then it's a double check, but it's not mate, because the king can go to d7. Okay, what is this about? I suppose. Okay, we don't have anything concrete, but if we allow the pawn to keep going, it will be checkmate quite soon. We need to get the bishop to exchange this bishop, and then our pawn's going to promote. So in order to do that, where do we need the bishop? We need the bishop on c7. That's the only square which will allow us to exchange the bishops. How do we get to c7? Only via d8, because we can't go via this diagonal, as the bishop covers it already. So the move should be bishop to g5, as far as I can see, and then he can't stop bishop d8 and bishop c7. Okay, h4. So now if we go bishop d8, h3, bishop c7, h2, bishop h2, bishop h2, we haven't achieved too much, or bishop b8, h1 check. So first we have to recapture, and then he can't stop our plan. Hello, Sufyan Malki. Pozdrawiam. Yeah, bishop g5. Okay, so this one is relatively easy. It's a deflection. We see that this would be a checkmate, but the queen defends it, so we dislodge the queen. Only move is queen f6, queen h7 checkmate. This one is also easy. We give a check on d6. If you give a check on c7, then he can go to d8 and no harm done. But on d6, if he goes here, it's mate. If he goes here, it's mate that way. So that's relatively easy. Here we can go to g8 with the rook, and it's checkmate in 1. Not too much I can explain there. This one, if we take the queen and the rook, it will be an endgame with the pawn down, but we can take on f6. If he goes king e7, we can take the queen. If he goes gf6, we take queen f6, and it's checkmate because the g8 square is covered. This one, okay, after we take with a check, bishop f6, we take the queen, he has to take the queen, and we take the bishop here. which will leave us with a piece up. Okay, let's see what this problem is about. If we take the rook, he can go queen d2. We go king g3 or something. Then he probably does have a perpetual check here. So what else can we do? You can go queen e5, queen e5 d. Then he will go king g7. Something similar to what I blundered did that came against Son of Wahab. And then after rook h8, king h8, a b3, the position is winning for us because its opponent came with one pawn up, and also this pawn is not in time to promote because we have king to g3. So that is the solution. Okay, if he does this, then we are left with an exchange up. Okay, a5. So this queen, as we have seen, is behind enemy lines, behind my lines, and I think it's possible to capture it with rook to b7, as it can't go anywhere here. So the only possible moves should be f3, but after f3 we can give queen e3 check, bishop f2, and then I think take the queen. After takes a b6, rook b7, we will be a piece up. Okay, queen e2. Now, ideally we would like to go rook e2, but due to the rules of chess, it's not possible. So we need to find a different plan. Of course, knight c7 is one of the candidate moves, a very logical one to take the rook. And we see that it's equal material and that he's threatening bishop to f2. I don't really see any other move which makes sense because our knight on d5 is also hanging. So unless I'm missing something obvious, which is also very possible, this should be the move, and we should take the rook. And even after bishop f2, we'll just take, and we'll be left with a piece up, because we still have the bishop, and his king is also weak. Okay, this one is very easy. We give checkmate in one move. Sometimes you get harder puzzles, sometimes you get very easy ones. That's how this chess.com puzzles thing work. Okay, here we have several moves. So some of the knight jumps are possible, but only one works. For example, knight h2, there will be knight g3. And the only one that works should be knight d3, because after knight g3 there is queen g2 checkmate, and after queen g3 we take first, and then it's checkmate. So, yeah. This one, we're a pawn down here. The only reasonable move should be queen d4. Queen d4, if queen d4, rook d4, that's very easy. But if rook e1 check, then we cannot take take the rook to queen d4. But after rook e1 check, we can go king to h2, and then if he takes the rook, we take either the queen or the rook. And if he takes the queen, we take this. And there are no checks because from our queen on d4, all of these squares to check the king on h2 are covered. So, that's how we win. This one, our knight is under attack, and the material is equal, so the most logical would be takes, and bishop to g4 to try to exploit the pin, and we're also attacking the queen. So knight g4, knight f5, bishop g4. If he goes somewhere with the queen, never mind to g6 or to d7, we'll play queen f3, attacking once more on f5, and if he goes knight e7, we can take it with the rook, and then take on f5, and we will be material up. So that should be the answer. Bishop h5, queen d7 just gives a move to black. Now, as far as I have calculated, we need to attack here. Okay, it didn't even go knight d7, but we would then take with the rook. Okay, queen a4. Now, if we give a check here, king e2, I don't think we have achieved too much, so we probably should take on e3 first. Also, we're getting away from this. If king d2, then there are various good moves, queen f2, queen d4. So he should play bishop to e2, and then we have a choice between rook e2 and maybe queen e4, let's say. But if we go queen e4, f e3, queen b1, queen d1 or something, it will not be that much because this rook is very, very weak. So the right move is probably rook e2, king e2, and then if queen e4, king d2, I will admit that I don't see anything concrete because after bishop h6, king c3, I don't see a clear check again. What is the solution then? Am I missing something obvious? Maybe the chat can see something better and tell me. Maybe bishop c3 check first. Wherever he goes, then we take. And then when he takes, go queen e4. And then d2 square is taken away from our opponent, and that should be the solution as far as I see. And then take. This was a harder puzzle, and now that they're starting to get somewhat harder, I think. What is this one about? Are we down some material? No, not quite. But our knight in b4 is under attack. What are the most logical moves? There is knight d3. And other than that, I don't really see. I mean, we can technically attack some of these pieces, but I think that knight d3 is best because no matter if he goes to f1 or here, we go knight c5. We attack the queen and the bishop, and we cover b7 also, and e6 is covered as well multiple times. And for example, king d2, knight. Okay, king f1, let's say, so that's knight c5. He can maybe try knight c6. What is that about? I mean, I think we can take queen a4, and then after queen a4, knight a4, the knight on c6 doesn't attack anything, and that should be the solution. If bishop c6, then we just take, and nothing special happens. Okay, here there is bishop f6, and it's hard to see if any of other candidate moves. Okay, you can go bishop h4, or again you can have a comfortable position, but bishop f6 looks strong because g6 there is knight f7, threatening many things, so he has to take king f7, queen h4, king f8, and then, I mean, I can take the pawn first, I can go knight h4, knight d6. Rook e6 is the only thing I need to be careful with, because if you see after king f8, rook e6, there will be bishop h2, king h2, queen e6, and I will lose that rook. So queen h7, king f8. Okay, if he goes to e8, then I can take on e6, so he has to go to f8. Yeah, knight h4 looks very promising. Also, I can capture here first. Also looks very promising. So that seems like the move. Probably both things were extremely good, and that's why the puzzle didn't even continue. So in this one, if we go bishop e3, which looks extremely tempting, he will take queen e3, king d1, and then we'll have no further checks, and we only have a queen against 3 pieces. And that's why we need to give a check on h1 first, and after queen d1, go bishop e3, and that will be checkmate. Okay, if he gives up the rooks, it wouldn't even matter if the rooks were stayed. If the rooks stayed there, we would still give this check and this checkmate. That's relatively easy. Okay, knight f6. Now the puzzles are starting to get harder. We would like to go rook e8 but to give checkmate, but the knight covers it, so we need to dislodge the knight somehow. if we do it via e4, knight e4, rook e4, then he will probably be in time with some bishop e7 to cover everything. So we should go to d5, I think, because if takes, then we don't have to recapture. But we can immediately go rook e8 checkmate, and if he does any other move, if he moves the knight somewhere, it's mate again. If he takes bc4, then we take here and then go rook e8, and I don't see any other, and the puzzle stops there. So this is a very known motive. When they attack like this and they're pinned, then it's almost by like rule of thumb to take the knight and then take this bishop. So if he takes like this, then we take g4. If he takes our queen, we take their queen, and we are left with a piece up. So now my opponent goes queen d7, understanding that. I mean, my opponent, it's like bot engine or whatever, is making moves for chess.com. And now this is hanging and our queen is still under attack, but we can play f3 to attack the bishop. If he moves the bishop somewhere, then we go back. And if he takes gf6, we take this one. And we're again a piece up. Okay, rook d8. We see that this is a bit loose, but if we play e4, there will be knight d4. So we need to play bishop g4 first, exploit the pin, and after bishop to g2, then we can play e4, and then he can't move the knight, and we will take the knight. He can play some bishop d4, bishop g5 in this line, but then we take on f3, he takes f6, we take e2, and then the rook on d1 is under attack as well. So yeah, if we take, so we should take here. Just if we take with the bishop, what's the difference? If this would be the same, but if we take with the bishop, he can take here, and after bishop e2, bishop e7, bishop d1, bishop f8, we have not actually won a piece. How is this one number 45? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you get... sorry, I need to answer some message. Sometimes you get easier ones, sometimes you get extremely hard ones on the same number of puzzle. Super tough 45th puzzle. Nah, it wasn't. Okay, so here the material is equal, we are some pawn down, doesn't matter. And when we take this bishop, I don't even see a real way, because there is no queen h4 check, and if he takes on g2, we need to take rook g2. If knight d4, queen d4, nothing changed. So I mean, maybe queen e7, but at least I can short castle. So I don't really see what the puzzle is about. Okay, this is an endgame, which we seem to be losing, and we would be losing if it was black's move, or if he played h5 here, then we would lose. But now the topic is breakthrough in pawn endgames, and we need to play, if we play f5, then he will take. So we need to play h5, taking is the only move, otherwise we'll take here, or g5, then our pawn is faster. And after gh5, we go, sorry, f5. If he plays h4, we take f6, h3, e7, h2, e8 queen, h1 queen, and queen to a4 will result in a checkmate. And if had he taken this, my pawn would be even faster. And we win the game like this. Okay, this is what material is. One pawn up. The problem which we have is that the bishop is hanging and then our knight will hang. We can't take knight h6 because this is hanging. We can't, I mean, we can play some move technically like queen g5, but then he will take the bishop, take the knight, and 2 pieces for a rook will happen. So what we need to do is give knight d6 check. If he takes with the pawn, we take our rook. If he takes with the queen, if we take the queen, he will take here and we lose. So after knight d6, okay, if he moves the king, then it's simple. We take the rook, but if queen d6, then we need to be clever and understand that we have queen to h6. And then if he takes gh6, we take ed6, and if he moves the queen away, we move our queen away. And we have successfully won an exchange there. In between move. That's very right. Okay. What is this one about? We are one piece down and we need to act quickly. So, how do we look for candidates? We look for every check, every capture, every attack on high-valued piece. And, of course, queen b7 is not possible. Rook b7 is very possible. Queen c6 is possible. The queen c6 move after bc, rook b8, the problem is he can escape and we have no checkmate. I mean, if we play a simple move, then we just lose because we're a piece down. So rook takes b7 creates the threat of queen to c6 check, and also creates a threat of rook b8 or rook c7. And he can't really stop all the threats unless he takes the rook, but then he gets checkmated due to queen c6. I don't even see a way to fight against it because rook d6 would just take. And yeah, the puzzle immediately ends. Okay, bishop d5. Now we need to think a bit. Material is equal, we have many candidate moves. Some of them are bishop c3, bishop d5, long castles, and rook d8, bishop d5. e4 is also a candidate move, attack on high-valued piece. So let's see. So for now, this is not a threat because it's the rook on a1 is hanging. Let's start from the most obvious choices. Bishop c3, he can, for example, play bishop c6, bc, queen c3, and we'll be left with a pawn down and bad position. This we can discard quickly. Bishop takes d5, he will take, if he takes knight d5, then we can maybe take on d2, queen d2, queen d2, king d2, long castle and win. But bishop d5, if he takes with the queen, maybe it's the same with queen d5, knight d5, bishop d2, king d2, long castles. That does look winning. A b4 is of course not possible. So yeah, this looks good for now. Let's see what the other options would bring us. If rook d8, if long castles, that's of course bad. We can discard that quickly due to bishop e6 check. So rook d8, probably bishop takes c6 check is best. B takes c6 and some queen c2. And again, this knight on c3 is protected. We do have some compensation, but not enough. If we play e4, it's kind of similar, bishop c6 and queen c2, and we haven't achieved too much. So the right move should be bishop takes d5. All the other candidate moves don't seem to make sense, and yeah. Queen d5, as we said, we capture here, and after takes there is even rook d8, and there is even long castles. Both moves would pin the knight and win it the next move. Okay, what is this puzzle about? We have two bishops for a rook. That's very promising in itself. No, actually we're in exchange down, sorry. Only if we manage to take this, then we would be material up. So candidate moves, bishop e5, knight e5, bishop c4. Other ones don't make sense. If we take knight e5, rook d8, knight e6, it should be winning. But knight e5 is a problem because our queen is hanging, and he's also threatening some knight g6 stuff, and he's an exchange up. If we take bishop e5, he takes knight e5. That looks better because then if we take knight e5, rook d8, knight c6, then again we're left with two pieces. And the final candidate move would be bishop c4, but there we have a huge problem in rook d7, and our queen is hanging. Bishop g7 will come next move. So even by process of elimination, I think we can play bishop to e5. I just want to make sure I'm not blundering something, but I don't think I am. And this should be the move. It takes c6, and we are left with a winning endgame. By the way, is the stream going normally? I don't see messages in the chat all that much. I'm not sure if that's to no viewers or some problem with the stream, but I think the stream is going normally. So, yeah. Hello, AJDA1. Okay, stream is going normally. Here we're a piece up, and that's good. So, I don't even see other candidate moves except knight e4. I mean, rook e1 check and bishop d6 are candidates, but then we'll lose a piece. I guess I need to understand the difference between rook e1 and knight e4 first, which to be honest I don't see. Knight e4, I mean, if he takes hg, we take the bishop and go back. That's a piece up. And rook e1 check, maybe he has some... Bishop e7 he doesn't have. Ah, okay, so rook e1, the difference is he goes king somewhere, I think. And then after knight e4 takes, we take the bishop, he takes here, and it's a fork. So that's why we need to keep the rook on d1 and not to bring it on e1. And yeah, the puzzle itself is relatively easy. Black Crow, thank you very much for the feedback that everything is fine. So what do we have in the next puzzle? We have problems because we are a piece down, but these pieces look very out of play. And we see that the king looks almost checkmated, but the rook is protecting it from getting checkmated here. And for that reason, we would need to bring our knight to a square from which we can checkmate the king. And we also need to understand that the threat is g4, and after g4, the problem will be that the h5 square will be covered. So as far as I can see, we need to bring the knight to f7, so that after g4 and even gf5, knight f7 is checkmate to cover the g5 square too. You're just watching a surgeon operating? Yeah, right. Come on, Ingo. Legends don't blunder pieces in one move, and that's what I do. So in order to bring the knight to f7, we need to go, of course, if we know how it works, we would need not to go to d5 or h5 because that puts our knight even further away from f7, but we need to go either to d3 or to e6. And if we go to d3, the problem is he can go bishop to d4 and cut our access point to f7 and not allow us. But if we go to e6, then we have an advantage because there are two routes to f7 via d8 and via g5. And if he stops one, I will go to the other one. And if he stops this one, I will go to d8. So after knight e6, of course, rook moves are not possible. There is still rook h5. And if g4, then I can even choose my poison, let's say. So knight e6 seems to me to be the right move. So he cuts off this square, and then we go to this one. You played 9-6 yesterday? You don't understand chess, you realized? Yeah. This one was harder. Okay, Ingo, you sound like me, but for you it's probably not true. Anyway, let's go to see the next puzzles. Now they're getting extremely hard. I mean, extremely hard is maybe too hard of an assessment, but they're getting harder. Okay, let's see our candidate moves. There are knight checks, two knight checks, bishop d4, rook g3, queen g7, but it doesn't work. Let's see, knight d7, king h8, I think we can discard quickly because I don't see a continuation and there will be threats for black. Knight f6 is more interesting after king to h8. But again, I don't really see a continuation because the next move from black will be to take. And we have to be careful because we are in exchange down already. You flagged some IM? I mean, at least you can win by flagging. You can't even win that way. Was that IM another streamer from Germany? Okay, these two moves don't seem to be getting the job done. Bishop here. There is also f6, I think, and then it's at least unclear what's going on. Let's see our other candidate move rook g3. And when we see that move, we understand that the bishop is extremely hard to defend. If he puts the queen on h6, we take it. If he puts on g6, then we have a fork. If he puts it on e5, the pin exists. And they don't even see any... I don't even see any good defense. So here I think it was just about finding all candidate moves and assessing them quickly. And we see that this one is basically impossible to parry. His name was Blažo Kalazic. He's from Montenegro. He's a decent player. International master. I don't know him personally. So here, this puzzle was about finding candidate moves. Let's see what this one is about. So, we are an exchange and the pawn down, but it's our move. Rook e4 is a candidate move, knight f3 is a candidate move, and takes is a candidate move. Let's see which one to play and why. If we play knight f3, rook f3, king f3, I mean, we'll be stuck with everything down. So this one we can discard quickly. Even if rook f3, rook e4 check, king g5, we can only capture one rook. That's the problem. Knight f3 is no good. If we give rook e4 check, he goes king h5 probably. Then we are, I think, in a bit of a... Actually, wait, maybe it's fine. King h5. Yeah, that's probably fine, because if king h3, we take king h3, he takes g1, and then that's not too much, but with rook e4 and bishop c5 first, the rook is hanging. If he goes rook f2 check, we can take on h3. If he goes rook h2, we take here, and again there are two rooks hanging. He can't go rook f2 to defend both, because we take it. So yeah, it looks fine. And the difference between bishop c5 first is that then he has rook h2 check, and then we have to go king f1 and we lose on the spot. So I also think this is that by process of elimination we only have one move, and that is rook e4. And now if we take here, that's very clean, as we said. So bishop c5, rook h2, there is king g3, and otherwise f8 rook is hanging. So yeah, it wasn't all that hard. Okay, sorry about that. That was my alarm ringing. Okay, what are candidate moves here? We're a queen down, so we need to do something really quickly. If we go rook f8 check, king g7, rook here check, king a. I'm not good with arrows. Rook h8, king g5. Then, okay, first of all, I don't even see other options except that, because, okay, rook g6 he will just take and we're in exchange down. Or he'll take this and then we're a rook and exchange down. That's even worse. And then after king h6, rook h8, king g5, then we need to be clever. Probably the way to be clever is with the move g3, threatening h4. If he goes h4 himself, then probably we take with the rook. And I'm not sure about that. Maybe we go something else. We go... Yeah, I don't know, but this stuff we have to do with process of elimination, I think, because I don't see any other viable options. Bishop g6, he can even take with the queen and take f7. And now, are there checklists for tactics like you had for calculation? I mean, it's the same. It's the same. My method, yeah. How should I call it? Leon method, chess is not fair method, Elsa 167 method. I feel like other people have their orders, like checks captures first, but often they just instantly see the idea. I mean, I also usually see the idea instantly. That's why I can solve 50 plus in 3 minutes, but still, when I'm explaining to the viewers, then it's just the method is only applied when they don't see it. Yeah, usually. Usually in a game it does work like that. But here with harder puzzles, it's you need to be a bit more clever. So if you remember the move which I said, g3, I didn't see in advance at all that he can go queen to d4 check, and then I would just lose the game because I would lose the h8 rook and king h6 would have come. But if that doesn't work, what would work in this position? Rook g8 then makes sense to attack the g6 pawn. And then if queen d1 check, we can go here first and then take g6. If he goes king h6 back, at least we have a draw, so that's better than losing. But we also probably have... I mean, I don't know if rook f6. Rook f6, there will be queen d4. Yeah, this puzzle is annoying, I have to say. I don't see... If there is some direct one, I don't see it. Rook g8, king h6. Maybe then h4. Because if this, then there is takes, and rook h8 will then be a mate threat. Okay, I think I'm starting to understand the point now. And after queen d4, king f1, again, both checkmates are going to hang. So if he plays something else, I mean, queen d4 just goes somewhere. Yeah, that should be the answer. Okay, queen d1, that makes my job, I think, easier, because then I can go rook f1 and the queen hangs, and also g6 hangs. And if he allows rook g6, then it will be king will have to go king h4, and it's very likely we'll get checkmated. So yeah. What do we have here? If we take... I mean, I don't fully get it, because after takes knight h6, what's the big deal? Needs 2 more moves to activate this bishop. Okay, if I go rook e8, then he can play some bishop c... Okay, maybe not bishop c4, but... I mean, I think we should take and go knight h6 to cover the mate there. He can play... Okay, let's calculate. Let's calculate normally. Check. And if we go king h8, then maybe he has d3 with this. So probably it's wiser after check to go d5, bishop d5, and then maybe even bishop e6, but king h8, and after d3, then probably bishop to g4, and if queen h4, there is even knight f5 to... No, there is no knight f5. The pawn here still exists. Let's not blunder something stupid. So take knight h6 here, d5 takes. Maybe just bishop e6, the most natural move, and after d3 can even take, and when he captures the knight, my king is not even there, so I'm able to take, and queen h6 even defends stuff like this. Yeah. Now it should be important to go here, I think. Knight e6, then d4 even with takes is probably a bigger problem. Yeah, h4 was so good in that other line. This one. No, not this one, sorry. I'm not sure if it's the only move that wins though, but we can check that. if what was I gonna say? If this, yeah, h4 is the only move. Only h4 wins. Or rook h8 check back and then same thing. But yeah, that was important to spot, even though Chess.com didn't even give that as the continuation. So at d5, the problems are that he can maybe take with the knight too, or the pawn. If he takes with the pawn, then I think it's quite good with bishop d6 and then bishop g4 with knight f5. If bishop d5, then I think bishop e6 should solve our problems. And knight d5 is maybe the most challenging, but then again, bishop e6, d3. It's hard to calculate 100% accurately, but at least queen d7 should be good. And okay, king h8, d3 is a problem, that's clear. At knight e6, I mean, yeah, I'm not too thrilled about knight e6. So I think it has to be this. Didn't even give the continuation. Didn't even give the continuation there. It should have to. Why is this? Yeah, this puzzle will be harder. But okay, let's check this one. Let's check this one first. So take 6, bishop c4. Yeah, king h8 wasn't all that clear. So if knight d5, okay, bishop e6 should be good enough. d3. Yeah, at least queen d7, but knight c2, it says it's... Ah, of course, king d1, there is bishop g4, that was the problem. And here f5, but queen d7 even is enough. Yeah, it seemed kind of unclear, but by process of elimination we see that other things are worse. So this queen is somewhat stuck here. Candidate moves, there are countless. There is this, there is maybe c4 even. Okay, c4 is probably dumb. There's this, maybe f4, maybe g4. All of those I would calculate in a game for sure. How do we find the right one? Let's try to trap the queen. The most logical to trap the queen is bishop d6 to cut off g3. But then he can go here with a check. Bishop b6, queen b7. And do we have a good continuation there? Don't see it right off. Go knight d7, then I have a huge development lead, but nothing too clear. Maybe that's not right. What happens if we go knight c6? That's the move we would play in a bullet game. Queen g3, f4. The queen is trapped. Is it that easy? Just to see a candidate move and where it leads you? Like bishop f6 takes here is less clear. Is it that easy? Could be. I don't see any idea even. Okay. This one is probably just a matter of finding the right checkmating idea, which is not that easy. Let's start with candidates. Check, 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 and h4 and f4. f4 I think we can discard quickly. Yeah, h4 he will take, and then he will escape to g3. That's also no good, as far as I can see. Let's see the checks then. Here, if king h6, sorry, king h4, this is mate. Bishop g3, bishop g6, I mean, then h4 is no mate. I don't really see how to make further progress there. Okay, queen d8, that would give us problems because of king g6, I think. Queen e5 also king g6. So queen g7 looks the most normal by far. Yeah, this was possible, bingo. It was actually very easy, no matter the puzzle rating. So yeah, queen g7, bishop g6. Probably I'm missing something very obvious. Yeah, that's what I know myself too well. So bishop g6 check, king h6, queen f8 check, king g5, queen f4 check, here queen h6. It's actually very simple and very forced, but check and nothing else to be done. Let's see, now the material is equal. This is a threat, knight a7, sorry, with knight a7 and queen b7. So we probably need to act kind of quickly. And I'm not really sure how to do that. Maybe the simple moves like knight b6 can be good. For example, if you go queen d2 check first, he goes king somewhere, then we go knight b6. Then the attack is kind of halted because the queen can't go to a5 or to a4 back. And then we will win time with rook h6, rook g6. So this is what I would definitely... I don't even see other candidate moves than this and knight b6, otherwise he will just continue with the attack. So we need to hold the attack first with this. There might be knight d6, but that one at least I can take and queen d6 or rook h6 or somewhere. Depends on also where he goes. Goes to f1, then I'll play rook f8 and attack here. This, I think, I mean, I don't see other candidate moves. I can go knight b6 first. But then knight d6 is at least a worse version, or at least he'll have queen a5 to cover everything. I think this. Let's check other moves. So the rook there, he can go queen f2 probably. Some queen c2, then he gives a check. Queen c2, he gives a check. Knight b8, knight a7, takes b7. And his king is still in danger, but not that big, I think. That's also something you learn. There are positions where you gotta take action as soon as possible, and there are slow positions where yeah, the 7th move. Candidate. Knight b6 and then rook f8. Yeah, maybe. That looks like the most natural one. Chris, so 60 is so strong? No, it's not really. It hasn't been that. Now the real puzzles are starting. But yeah, knight b6 looks like by far the most logical move because the queen just can't really go anywhere. And knight d6, I even forgot completely. I thought that I should take here and go rook f8 with an attack, but I completely forgot that the queen actually covers the square. But you know that I blundered many things today. And hello, Rust and Chess, and okay, and Chris. Yeah, 61. Let's see candidates. What is the material count? We are a piece down. That's somewhat worrying. Which smart moves we can make? To do that in a better way. We can take on e6. Candidates are bishop e6, rook f4. Okay, maybe some other moves like knight h6, knight g5, but those are something we'll check later if the first two don't work. So rook f4, bishop f7 is of course bad. bishop c4. And after bishop c4, well, after bishop c4, I mean, the easiest solution seems like knight d6. King e7, then we take the rook. If he takes the rook, we take here, we're in exchange up. If he takes, if he moves the bishop away, we'll play knight c7 and we grab another exchange. But let's see, because it's not that clear. Knight d6, king e... I'm so bad with arrows. Knight d6, king e7, knight e8, bishop e6 back, for example. Knight c7, bishop d6, attacking my rook. So it could be a problem. Or rook f4, bishop e3. Maybe if you say so. Let's see other candidates. This, knight e6, that doesn't seem all that great. That's also possible, like knight d6, king e7, knight e8 takes, rook e1, then this is pinned, he has to go to d7, then we give this check. It's kind of unclear. Unclear too. What do you guys, have you guys memorized the puzzles or what? Memorizing the puzzles is not fun. Understanding the point behind them is what makes the tactics training worth it. Yeah, rook f4 with knight h6, king e7, rook e1, king d7 or d8, maybe d7. Don't think we have achieved too much. Yeah, bishop e6, even rook e6 with rook f6 will not give us that much. So I don't see other move except rook f4. These moves will just lead to, after bishop c4, rook f4, to a worse version. Okay, bishop e3. And that was suggested also. We got rook f3. This is still very bad with bishop f7. But this actually doesn't... Okay, wait, rook here. Then if bishop c4, we have check, takes, and takes this. That's quite easy. But there is bishop g4. Maybe I'm missing something stupid. Can give a check here, but after bishop f4, knight e6, rook e6, bishop e6, it's nothing again. Where's the win, which I'm missing? Rook f3, bishop g4. Maybe I should. Like, can it be rook f3, bishop g4, rook g3? Then this hangs and there is idea with rook f1 because then I'm not even material down. But then bishop e6 back. I also don't see other move except rook f3. I mean, the game I would play this, so let's see. This one should be easy. With check and knight e8, and then c7 is hanging and d3 is hanging, so... Okay, I'm very curious about this stuff. What was the right continuation? Rook f, f1. And just continue the onslaught like this. And rook g3, he goes back. That was less clear, yeah. But rook f3 was the only move, that's for sure. And the bishop c4 line with knight d6, How was this one? Ah, there was knight g7. This one was kind of unclear, but even that's totally winning. So yeah. Rook f3, bishop g4, rook e3, knight d5 to go knight c7. Maybe that even, but that looked less clear because he can attack with rook e4 the bishop, and so on. Okay, this looks very shaky for black. The bishop is pinned, he's a pawn down, and looks like a massacre. Of course, we have to be careful about this threat. Even though it's not a threat yet, because then we'll have knight f6 with queen d6. Okay, let's see candidates. Queen h5 is surely the normal move. Attacking two things. Bishop f2, rook f2 should lose. Rook a5, queen h7, this is mate. Some queen g6, I don't see a good reply to takes and rook a1, because that will at least win a piece, as far as I can see. Yeah, what's the puzzle about? Don't really understand. Some rook a7 moves don't work, because you don't have a good discovery. Knight checks are no good. Queen a1, I mean, I wouldn't play it unless I had to. I mean, maybe queen a1. Some queen b8 then, or what? But why not queen h5? Two threats. How does he defend both? I don't see a way except this. That I take and go rook a1. Seems extremely clean. Hello Astra. Yeah, it's fine. The chess is not going my way. I'm blundering everything this week. But what to do? Yeah, I don't really see it. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the material is equal. There are some moves like queen h4 and knight d4, but what comes to mind immediately is queen d5, because I don't see how he defends the rook. Queen d5, maybe his intention is to go king f2, and then after queen h1 to go knight f3. That would make sense. So, let's see if we have some more clever way of doing this. We take knight d4, he will long castle. That probably means problems. c5. Yeah. Queen d5, king f2. Queen h1, knight f3. I also don't see a continuation there. Some queen h4, king f, no, queen f2 even. This is puzzling to me. Maybe also something with d4 and the pin. Yeah, I know all of these ideas, but I don't see the solution. Okay. Okay, the point could be queen d5, king f2, knight d4. Then with the king on f2, the point is, okay, this is impossible, of course, but he can't take with the queen either, there is bishop b6. And then I've stopped knight f3, so the threat remains. Wait, I'll refresh because there is this bug which happens. There is this bug which happens with my mouse, which other composite. So queen d5, king f2, knight d4 looks like the most natural. If he moves the knight, there is queen f3. I don't even see another idea. That's the problem. So I think this has to be the solution. Queen h1 is just no good. Okay, queen d3. Now we can capture. There is no more knight f3 because I can take with the queen. It should be a clean exchange. Don't think I can improve it in any other way because he wants knight f3 now. Okay. Oh, hello there, Mircea. Knight d4 instantly, there was long castles. That was the worst version that I mentioned at the start of the puzzle. Okay, what's this about? We're a queen down, that's not good. How do we make something out of this horrible position? This is extremely bad. So rook d2 we can discard. Rook g2 we shouldn't discard. That seems like the best move to me at first. Rook f1 we can discard. Rook a3 I think we can also discard because there is check followed by a b6. And then we'll have everything hanging. So let's see rook g2. All the other moves look bad at first. Yeah, well played. I mean, it was process of elimination mostly during all the puzzles. No goals, just tactics training. I'll have to go in half an hour or so anyway. But the survival will be saved on chess.com, I think, so we can continue it tomorrow or some other day. But now the harder puzzles come, so it will be... It's not very realistic to expect some great score. Let's see rook g2. If king f3, then we take here. And if this, there is this, and the king e4, there is rook e2. I mean, there should be some mate, even though I don't see it. But the bigger problem is this, I think. With king e3. Because then after knight d5, then he can go to f3. Technically, I can take on f1, then... I don't know if I'm missing something very stupid. Is this a common thing to do before classical tournaments, hard calculation puzzles? I mean, it should be... For GMs, it's something they do regularly, no matter if the tournament is there or not. They take some book or a hard calculation. It's saved for a week or something? Yeah, then we can continue, because I'll have to go soon. So check. King e3. Rook f1. Because I don't see a better option. I mean, it looks extremely dangerous, but I would like to I'd like to calculate everything, but maybe it's not possible. Maybe I should just play for instinct there. As like not even instinct, but process of elimination. I don't know which other move can it even be. Like, rook f1 is surely no good, and rook a3 is also surely not good, I think. You can make a case for this and king c6 or something, but after a b6, this is hanging, so... I think it has to be rook g2 by process of elimination. If I don't see something, then it's my own fault. And I think takes, because knight d5, king f3, king f3 is no good. Rook e2 he will take. Yeah, I think by process of elimination it has to be this. I mean, if a-b, I think I can go for the queen. Can't I? There is also rook e2, but let's see. This is the concrete line. King e4 or king d2. Say king e4 takes b7. I mean, it has to be winning after after rook takes. b8 queen. I probably need to go here to stop knight b5. And this stuff. Rook d1. It looks lost, but or king c4 maybe. King c4 with king b5. And I don't see anything wrong with taking the queen. You feel you're just much more exhausted and tend to just do nothing before a tournament. I mean, I liked somehow 2 or 3 days before a classical tournament. I like to do nothing chess wise and just focus on being in a good physical shape. Get like do some sport workout or just get enough sleep and so on to be fresh. That's also very possible. Let me see that last one. Yeah, I mean, you can make a case for rook a3, but this feels like with the process of elimination, this seems like the only thing. And surprisingly enough, he can't escape or something. Like I was considering this stuff, but then he will also have checkmating problems. But it's hard to evaluate. I just didn't see any other. This is a puzzle which I solved more on instinct than on calculation, which I tend to not do. I don't think it's good. But what can you do? Everyone loves endgames on this channel, especially me. What do I do here? Is it promotion or is it check? I mean, check seems good in a way that if he goes to b6, he'll lose the pawn. If he goes here, he loses the pawn again, and if he goes to d4, it's this. If he goes to c6, then it's probably this. I mean, in a game, I would not even think about h8. I would just promote. Like h8, there is checks and then promotions. I think it has to be queen f8. And queen c8, he can trade with queen c6 and then the promotion will come at the same time. I think we have to go to take this pawn. Now, I'm not sure what's the difference, honestly. Queen f8 and promote. I mean, I wouldn't promote. There is d1. Queen f2. Queen c5, maybe then queen f6. King b5, a4. king b4. That still doesn't look all that clean. In the game, I would just go for the pawn. Isn't that supposed to be winning? Can't say I'm 100% sure because there will be a bunch of checks. What's with promotion? Promotes? What if queen d3 check and then d1? Or even check and then some checks and then takes and then d1. No, I think it has to be some queen d8. Queen d8, queen d2. Yeah, I wouldn't promote. I just don't understand the real difference between queen f2 and queen d8. If it exists. Because in both cases I can take the pawn on d2. Why is one better than the other? It's way beyond me. Maybe I can go to d8 and then promote? That looks more clean because there is no d1 and there is no check here, but there is check on c6. Instinctively I would go to d8 and promote maybe. So queen d4 now is no, then there is queen b6. So promotion is making big threats. I can also take. In a game I would just take. Probably. But promotion, queen c6, queen f6, queen g2, king f7 seems it doesn't have any more checks. So probably it's promotion. But I don't get this puzzle. Isn't this supposed to be winning in 10 different ways? How is this not winning? Ah, queen e8. That makes sense. Okay, that does make sense. That does make sense. Queen e8 didn't even occur to me. But okay, I'm solving. Yeah, how is taking not winning? This is how. I'm solving a bit quicker because I'll have to go in a couple of minutes. So maybe this will be the last one, which I'll solve today. Let's see. We are in a big danger. If we play some knight f4, there will be probably some sacrifices. And with a huge attack. So we probably have to react first with rook a7. Rook a7, and with the point being rook g6, rook b7, king b7, queen b6, king c8, queen c6, king b8, bishop a7, followed by rook a1 checkmate. Is there something else he can do? But by process of elimination, I just don't believe in moves like knight g4, knight f4. We'll be with a pawn down, and black will have a huge attack. We have to react. But even by process of elimination, this would have to be the first move. Yeah, rook a7 looks very intuitive. I don't... by process of elimination, you can do it. You can do moves like that. But now what? This is still hanging, and he covered the square. If I go rook a1 is the most logical, but then he will take rook g6, sorry, and don't see what else to do. I can go knight f4 now, because I have already... I can't dislodge the knight normally. I can play knight f4 now because I have already taken a7, and then after some queen f7, now I have achieved quite a lot compared to the previous line. Some rook b7s, I don't see the point. Also knight f8, I don't see the point. I don't have anything concrete. I mean, this looks like the move. The only one which makes sense. In a blitz game, I would play it for sure. Some rook g2, knight g2, I don't see it working. Rook takes bishop and then knight f4. And then after queen f7, then what? Queen e4, d5, knight d5. Yeah, that's also possible, but why not here first? Knight f4, there is queen e5 too. Like, why can't I go knight f4 first? Maybe because, oh, I see. Rook g2, knight g2, king a7, that's the problem. So then probably, yeah, rook b7 is probably right. And then knight f4. I don't even see why, but all the other moves look bad. Knight f4 looks bad due to this. And king a7. But I'm not convinced in my position with after knight f4, queen e5 either. There is some queen c4 though, threatening two things. But okay. Considering everything else is just bad, we have to do this. And I think we will have to end the stream today because I need to go. Thanks to everyone for watching. I will find someone to raid you to, and we will continue this Puzzle Rush survival tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, or maybe later today, but probably not. Who do you want me to raid you to, guys? Tell me somebody to raid you to. Alright, we'll raid our fellow GM Arthur's Nations, who is an extremely strong player from Latvia. And okay, thanks again for watching the stream. It was better definitely to do tactics than to play and lose in Blitz. So have a great day. Bye bye.